absolutely first thing I would do is I would truly do some deep diving into who I am. We've been so tricked by mainstream media and their marketing tactics that we think building a brand looks like cars and bitches and jewelry and things like that, when ultimately building a brand is what J. Cole has done. It's
Right.
being authentic, it's being genuine.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Kosh. This is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. This podcast was created to give artists the codes to build audiences, cash flow, and make a living doing what they love. But overall, it's to eliminate the starving artist. And today I have a special guest. Her name is Abby Sarabia, and she is the founder of Creators Club. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, of course. What's up, everyone? Welcome. So excited you guys are here. I'm going to be dropping lots of gems about how to build a brand from scratch. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so for the people who are unfamiliar with you, how would you describe yourself in one word?
An entrepreneur.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think that word encompasses a lot of different things in general, but entrepreneur first.
And how would you describe yourself in one sentence?
Ooh. I would describe myself as a resilient, creative entrepreneur.
That's good. No, you said it with so much confidence. Like, usually it takes people so long to come up with the one word, and you were like, "Yeah, it's just entrepreneur." Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and I think when you finally get to the point of labeling yourself as an entrepreneur, it comes with all of those other words like resilient, like full of grit, ambitious,
yeah.
stuff like that. So it's a pretty
No,
good word.
that's really good. No, it's good that you're bringing that up too, because we're definitely going to get into that.
Yeah.
So, when do you think it could be with Creators Club, or it could just be in life in general? It could be now, or it could be past. But when do you think you achieved your first creative breakthrough?
I would say I achieved my first creative breakthrough probably in terms of like my music. I would say back in 2018. 2018, I was just full throttle. I wasn't judging myself. I wasn't thinking too much about the music I was putting out. And ultimately, it resulted in me breaking a few records like back home, having sold out shows and things like that. I was just letting it loose. And then I think I had my entrepreneurial breakthrough probably when I developed Creators Club. So that's a 2020. And that was really that was like the feeling of I finally found my purpose. I finally found what I'm put on this earth to do. And so, yeah, those would probably be the two dates and not too
Yeah.
far along from each other, all in my early 20s.
And so, when you had that entrepreneurial breakthrough, how did that happen in terms of like you starting as an artist and then moving into that space?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as a lot of people know, I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and I didn't have resources. Like I said, I was just letting loose, and ultimately, I was doing a lot of good shit and had a lot of momentum, but I didn't necessarily know how to break through that next layer. And in hindsight, looking at it, it was because I was uneducated, honestly. It was because I didn't have a good support system, and I didn't have anybody who was kind of tapping me on my back along the way and giving me guidance. So I think great entrepreneurs always understand their audience, and they always understand where they can fill the gaps. So I knew as an artist with a lack of resources that was a fucking gap that needed to be filled, because talent is never the problem. Talent is never the issue. It's never what is lacking. It's the access to the same opportunities is what lacks.
So, okay, so you said that you recognized that you needed more education, and how did you go about getting
My own personal journey by fucking up.
that? Okay.
I learned that I needed more education by, being down on my ass and by spending my last few dollars on shit that actually wasn't helpful, and really just running through the gauntlet and like, just looking back on it being like, damn, that was not the best decision to do. And I realized, like I said, man, 100, $200 for a young college kid, like that could be their whole half a month's
Yeah.
paycheck or whatever it is. And so I wanted to be that person that kind of like stops that bullshit, gives people enough education to understand that you don't have to invest your money in these kind of get rich quick schemes or instant gratification things, because most of the time they don't really exist, right? All good things come with hard work. And I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah,
So
no, I think it does too. I was gonna say, what were some of those things though? Like, one, what were some of the things that you like did that you failed that were like failures, right? And then what did you start doing that you started to gain momentum in?
I think when I first began being an artist, I was so attached to numbers. And I was so attached, as everyone is when they first start, right? I was so attached to outside validation, someone to tell me my music was good and to keep going. And specifically, I mean, when I began back in 2017, I was investing my money in streaming services, what we know now as bots, right? And stuff like that. And I was uneducated, A, on what bots were, and B, again, I was really addicted to that instant gratification. And that kind of followed me along throughout my career, not being patient enough to invest in marketing as I grew in like 2018 because I was so used to fake results. And it wasn't until I got older and started developing something like Creators Club that has taken me years, right, to establish, that I finally realized, like, if it's promising you something quick, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, and so you brought up a specific point in that, which was marketing. Where did that shift happen for you when it was like, okay, I know I don't know enough about this and now I need to. So what was like the first step, or what did you do at that point?
I think the first shift began to happen probably at the end of 2019, where I was just kind of running on E in terms of my own music career. Like, what's next? What do I invest in next? What is the thing that's going to kind of elevate me to that next level? That's when I realized that I didn't necessarily know a whole lot about what was going on. It wasn't until 2020, when COVID happened, that really the music industry became accessible to everyone, because everyone was doing panels and Zooms and live streams, and you were finding out the people who actually run the record labels and who run the artist teams. And once I began to connect with them, Olivia Shalhoub, who is the CEO of Amethyst PR agency, I was her intern for a while. And she really, I mean, not only gave me incredible opportunities, but taught me so much about how the game works and how big of a facade smaller artists are being taught, you know, that you can do it by yourself, kind of, right? You can blow up overnight. These things that you can go viral one time on TikTok and it can change your life. And not saying that it doesn't, but now we know that a lot of those viral TikTok hits are still products of record labels,
Yeah.
right? We know that they're products of social influencing campaigns that still cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it really wasn't until I started working in the industry when I realized, like, holy shit, I was chasing the wrong thing. Because if I would have known all that back in 2017, I would have focused on a team. I
Yeah.
would have focused on someone who loved marketing, and someone else who loved making videos, and someone else who loved writing blogs. Like, I would have put that together, put the team together, and then launched, as opposed to trying to do it by myself and then pay people for results.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly said, I think. And also it's like very insightful. I think I was in a similar situation at the same time where I was really focused on creating content, but I didn't understand how to maximize the viewership of that content. And I was like, okay, I'm hitting a wall now. So what do I need to learn? And it was like, I probably need to learn marketing. And then I dove into that and it changed my whole life. And that was right when COVID happened, like right around that time, early 2020. But what I've come to recognize through this conversation and also in my own life is that the thing that's costing you the most money is not knowing. So like somebody put it to me like this and it like changed the way I thought about it. Cause a lot of times when people said that, it's hard to like grasp onto that concept. But they were like, every year that you don't make $1 million, it's costing you $1 million.
I love that.
And so when I was able to look at it like that, I was like, okay, that makes more sense than saying you're not making this, so therefore you're not worth this, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it. So you talked about like what you failed at, but like give me like three strategies you started with or three systems you started with in order to like build Creators Club.
The first one, of course, is networking. I knew immediately off of rip that if I wanted to build kind of brand trust and trust around my name, that I had to be in a network of people who are already trusted. And so with the development of Creators Club, once I had it all kind of looking the way I wanted to, I connected with some of TikTok's like top indie music influencers and hired them to fill in the content for members to come in and swift through and things like that. So number one, networking, I understood that has always been the key to anything. Number two, I know this sounds like weird, but honestly showing up as myself in meetings or with people or at events and things like that, which we'll talk about later, just like building your brand. And number three is definitely education. I by no means, right, like I always tell people, like, you can't pay me enough money to learn about numbers. I just can't fucking do it. But I'm not going to be ignorant. I'm going to learn at least whatever I can, so I, can at least feel like I know what I'm talking about or be a little bit more secure in my decisions, and then reach out to my network to get somebody who's trustworthy and better at understanding those things to partner with. So yeah, networking, education, and building a brand has really gotten me to this place right now.
Yeah, and I think you said something, I mean, those are all great, but the thing that stuck out to me was when you mentioned education, you talked about, I'm going to give myself like a fundamental level of knowledge about something. What I tend to see is a lot of creatives get stuck on either not doing any education or just only doing education. Like, and it's like, I need to educate myself. And it's like, okay, but now you have enough knowledge to go do something. And sometimes you stay stuck in that cycle of like, but I need to learn more. And it's like, you're always going to need to learn more. So you might as well. And that's what I loved about what you said in the beginning about like how you figured it out. A lot of it is experience. It's like, so how do you learn? It's like, well, yes, you learn from learning from other people, but also you have to learn from doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that, because that just reminded me to tell this story. Before I networked with TikTok people, with more trustworthy people, what I did was hire a group of they're great, their work was awesome, but a group of kids who didn't know what the fuck they were doing, right? And so that's how I learned, unfortunately, just by being like, okay, fuck it, let's try this out. Now, did it have me ass out for a little bit? Yeah, but I learned how to do it, right? And you are 100% right in the fact that the best way to learn is to throw yourself in the fire, because once you have that kind of survival instinct kicked in, that's when you remember shit. That's when you're like, oh, okay, I'm never going to make this fucking mistake ever again, because I didn't eat this week because I just lost, however much money I lost. So you are 100% right. And like with content, I think a lot of people get really nervous and really caught up on a content strategy when the basis is just get out there and get comfortable on the camera, right? That is like the starting point. You don't need to be perfect at all.
Yeah, just be who you are, and then like don't overthink it, and like have some key points that you want to talk about and get right to it. That's pretty much the masterclass on content.
Yeah, honestly.
So you go on to learn these new skills. Like I like to call it complementary skills. And then you create creators clubs. So then explain that process of building that brand. So first you said I went to these people and I networked and I was able to invest in them to create content for me. So what did that look like from a like investment perspective?
Like how much money did it cost to get Matt Bacon, that was his name, Matt Bacon, on my team originally, and he had a group of like really trusted creators as well. It cost me about $200, maybe, I forget now, but either every week or every other week.
Okay.
And then it was also like another 50 for the other 3 content creators that he brought on. And so at this point, like, mind you, I only started Creators Club with $5,000 in the bank. And like I said, I had wasted a little bit of money on the people that were working before that. So it could only last so long. And like looking back now, when I make my brand deals and my content creator deals, I do that with a lot more savviness and a lot more financial sustainability in my mind, because I know how quick that shit can go. But what I did is, like I said, we connected over TikTok. And this is the importance of content, just outside of using it for, whatever. It is your modern day resume. So if I didn't have great content on my TikTok prior to reaching out Matt Bacon, he told me from his mouth that was the one thing that made him just even answer my DM. And that's the power of content. Like, it, people go there to check to see if you are who you are and to really try to understand your personality before they work with you. So that is a huge benefit to content that nobody talks about. Same thing with Olivia Shalhoub. Like, I hit her on a DM, but ultimately she went and checked my page and liked, you know, the shit that I was talking about. She liked the content that I produced and chose me. So reached out to him, emailed him, got on a Zoom. We talked out, hashed out numbers, and I got really lucky. Matt Bacon is a really great dude, a really trustworthy guy. So it was pretty smooth sailing after that.
But that was like a testament to you putting yourself out there and doing it. Like, I like to say, taking massive action. Also, like, being selective about who's right for you at that moment with the budget you have. And then also, you made just a great point on content, which I think you've like simplified the reason why people need to make content better than I have ever said in my life. I think it's just credibility, right? When you were talking about that, I was thinking on myself, I was like, okay, if I go to somebody's profile and they're an artist, if I don't see music or music videos in the first 9 posts, then I don't believe you're an artist and I'm
Yep.
leaving your page.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always all about building trust, whether it's subliminally or whether it's intentionally. It's
Yeah.
all about building trust. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, that's a huge part of building your brand from scratch. So what would be and you've probably covered some of these already, but what would be like your top 5 things to do to build a brand from scratch?
The number one, absolutely first thing I would do is I would truly do some deep diving into who I am. In my branding course, we call it building your brand foundation. And what building your brand foundation is, building a brand off of your personality. And we've been so, for lack of a better word, tricked by mainstream media and their marketing tactics that we think building a brand looks like cars and bitches and jewelry and things like that, when ultimately building a brand is what J. Cole has done. It's
Right.
being authentic, it's being genuine, it's taking the pieces of your personality that are naturally you and understanding how that emotionally connects with your audience. And the best way to do that, honestly, if you're not like a self-aware person, is to sit with a group of homies and be like, what do you guys think of me? Like, what do you guys think of my personality? Why do you hang out with me? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And also in my brand course, I have people take a personality test. I love it. It's perfect. It has gotten me down to a T and really everybody else that I've put through it. And that's going to tell you your main characteristics, your personality traits, what makes you you. So number one, building that brand foundation. You want to build a brand that is yourself, because if not, you are going to burn out because you're going to be playing a role that's you can't fit in because it's not you, right?
Yeah.
Then after, I'm going to give you 3 because 5 I might give you the whole course. Yeah. So number one, building your brand foundation. And then after that, really identifying your mission and your vision and your values. Those are the 3 things that you really want to keep close to you, because those act like an anchor throughout your career. Whether you're going through emotional hardship or, you know, just fucked up situations, your mission, your vision, and your values are always going to be what grounds you and brings you down. And
And
then,
can you give me examples of each one of those?
yeah, absolutely. So a brand mission is basically one sentence that explains why you do what you do. Why do you make music? For Lady Gaga, I think her, if I remember correctly, her brand mission is to make people feel good and make people dance, right? Very simple. For Justin Bieber, it's something along the lines of to allow people to have freedom through music. And so your brand mission is just one concise statement that pretty much sums up why you make music, regardless of, you know, your end vision. Your values are kind of an extension of your personality, but what's important to you? Is it loyalty? Is it material things? And this is a really great time to be honest with yourself. And if it is material things, like, there's no knock to that, but know it and stand in
Right.
that. And then your vision is basically where you see yourself, the ultimate end goal of your career, of who you are. And that can look like, for Netflix, it's like to be the best streaming service in America, right? Like very simple, but very big, a very big attainable goal that can kind of navigate you. You use it as your North Star. For smaller artists, though, it is obviously better to get a little bit more focused down, a little bit more concise statement for your vision, something that's a little bit more tangible. And then you can always continue on with your vision, right? Once you hit that pinnacle, make another one.
And making sure all of those are clear.
Yes.
Like easy, like sixth grade reading level, like that. I think people get, I used to do that too. I used to get like really, I used to want to use all these words, and it's like, make it clear so people can understand it easily.
Absolutely. Make it clear, and so you can remember it too at the end of the day. It's something, it almost needs to be, specifically with your brand mission, it needs to be your mantra. It needs to be something that you say every day that you can remember. So that's really important, that it is one sentence and simply put. And then lastly, you know, after you've kind of done all the groundwork and things like that, building an image. And this is where people get confused about branding and imaging. We've grown to think that imaging is building a brand, and it's not. Imaging is imaging, right? It's how you look. It's how you want to present yourself. But there's a lot of power in that. And so one way that you can build your image after, you know, you have your foundation, you have all of your internal work done, is strengths and weaknesses, basically a SWOT of your competitors, of similar artists. So you'll choose 3, you'll basically analyze them, research them, see what their socials look like, their websites look like, what colors are they using, what genre are you in? Because obviously, you know, if you're in a punk rock band, you're not going to be, I mean, maybe you are, but you're most likely going to be edgy and grudgy, right? And then kind of making like a list of what you like, what you don't like, and what you want yourself to look like, how you want to present yourself to the world, and make sure that aligns ultimately with your foundation and all of the values and things like that. For example, let's just say if one of your personality traits, one of your brand values is like humility, your brand image isn't going to be you all iced out all the time, right? It's probably going to be you in like a flannel, like on some J. Cole shit. And once you kind of have those 3 things, that pretty much sets you up for success.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would add to that is like, make sure you understand what your offer is. And as an artist, your offer might just be click the link or go stream my music right now. I encourage all artists to create some kind of one community, right? Because you can move that community to buy anything really with a certain amount of trust. But the other thing I would encourage most artists to do is try to create try to productize your music.
Yeah, and a really great way to think about that is also in the brand course, if anyone's interested. It's a brand strategy called audience branding. And basically what that means is that your audience is the hero of your brand, not you, not your music. All the audience does is basically use your music as a tool to be the hero of their own story. And there is a worksheet that I have that like breaks it down, but ultimately you want to promise some type of transformation. My music's going to get you through a workout. Your girl just left you, my music is going to get you through that heartbreak, right? And that alone, aside from sales and things like that, is a brand promise in itself if you can consistently show up in your music like that. And it's very powerful because in branding, marketing, sales, PR, whatever it is, the power of transformation is key. There's a reason why weight loss products are like the #1 selling thing in the world all the time. It's because they promise an insane amount of transformation. And that's what our brain likes to do. We want change, we want solutions, and ultimately a transformation of day, behavior, whatever it is. So if you can find a way, you know, to pitch it in your music, that's powerful as hell.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. It's current state that you're in right now, and then future state that you want to be in.
Yep.
And then you also said something else, like you just kind of said it, and so I want to emphasize it more as like the consistency. And everybody always says like, "Oh, be consistent." It's like, but the reason why though is because anything that you stay in tune with most likely shows up in your life consistently. So if it's a show that you watch, that show comes on a certain program schedule, right?
Yep.
So if it's music, you want to get new music from an artist after a certain amount of time because you've listened to that music all the time. So I think in order to build a brand, you almost have to have consistency because you have to stay top of mind for people to want to pay attention to what you're doing.
Absolutely, 100%. Like a great example I'm thinking of is Remy Wolf. I don't know if you do know her. She's an amazing indie artist, and well, not indie artist, but her brand is very DIY. And like for example, I've been listening to her music for like the last 4 years, and she has consistently dropped. She has consistently showed up on my timeline, and it really wasn't until last month that I bought a ticket and saw her. Right. And that goes back to like the whole patience and instant gratification conversation we had. You're not always going to bear fruit from people immediately, but that consistency is going to buy you essentially time to where you're bearing all this fruit throughout your life.
Yeah, it creates that. All of it goes back to that trust. I have to see you so many times before I can trust that you do this.
Yeah.
I have to know that you are truly this person. And after so many years or so many months of seeing you do that, then I kind of have a belief now in my head that you're going to do that thing. So and when it comes to artists, right, when it comes to music artists specifically, you're talking about like paying for shows and like doing other kinds of monetization strategies is what we're talking about here. So what do you suggest is kind of the first step to get someone to convert, so to speak?
Convert from a listener to a buyer?
Yeah. Like, what was it for you for the 4 years, right? Like, what was that? I guess maybe we could talk about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what it was for me is my consistency of dropping good music and being known as kind of like a local commodity. At some point, people just wanted to see it for themselves, right? Which is exactly what we think. But for artists in general, I think to make a listener into a buyer, your brand has to offer something to them they can't get anywhere else. And the best example of this is like Travis Scott's brand mission, brand purpose, whatever it is. I will make you feel like you can fly when you come to one of my shows. He does it fucking incredibly, right? So it's really finding, again, where your music can solve someone's problem and showing them, like giving them results. And then once you do that, and that might not even be a result of a purchase, right? That just might be a result of finally gaining their trust. So the next time you drop a hoodie, it's a purchase.
Yeah. No, that's good. What do you consider consistently dropping at this point in music? Like how frequently is that?
Yeah, I think that this is always a hot topic and it ranges, right? But ultimately you can drop. I feel like I'm going to get a little bit in trouble. I feel like if you were to talk to me like a year and a half ago, I would say drop a song a month, right? That's kind of like standard. But I mean, shit, if you got something that is like a top-notch product and you're investing a lot of money, drop a song a quarter or like an EP a quarter, but don't fucking let up on the marketing. Make it feel like it's new every day. I always tell people to promote their shit shamelessly. Promote social proof shamelessly.
Right.
Your homeboy texts you that he's listening to it. Boom. Hey, send me a screenshot. Let me put this up on social media real quick. You get your first 1,000 plays. Boom. Hey, thanks everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for the first 1,000 plays. Create that social proof and run your numbers up, right? Like keep promoting your song. So I guess that's really the caveat is if you don't want to make music consistently, then you need to promote consistently. If you don't want to promote consistently, then you need new products to mention consistently.
Yeah, no, promote your shit shamelessly is really good because the way that it was communicated to me before was like, I want you to promote your brand like it's your birthday. Like the same way you promote your birthday, you should be promoting your brand. But what you said hits home even deeper because you talk about the social proof. And that's something that I talk to so many creatives about. A lot of creatives that I see are so afraid of like, yeah, but if I show this, then I'm going to come off like this.
It's like, yeah, if
No.
I say thank you for 100 plays, it's like I got 100 plays. Like, yeah, motherfucker, only 100 people are listening to it. Be thankful for it.
Right. But what that does, though, from like a psychological level that I don't think
Yeah.
enough people pay attention to, is it shows you that other people are supporting. And
Mhm.
most people operate in group think. So it's like, oh, 100 people are supporting. Of course I'm going to support. Like,
Yeah. And that is really the tactic of major record labels. That is all they do.
yeah.
They invest in a bunch of fake bots, love, fans, all of it to make you feel like, damn, why is everybody else listening to this person? I must be out. And exactly like you said, it is truly the psychology of consumer behavior. So social proof is key.
Yeah, it's like probably top three. Yeah, no, that's really, really good. And like you said, you brought up a great point about the social proof. It's like, don't be afraid to ask your close friend who listened to your song and shared it on their story to send it to you. And so you can share it somewhere else, or tag you in it so you can share it somewhere else, because that's authentic. Like,
Yep.
just because you're asking, like, this is something that creatives get stuck on too, is like they are afraid of the ask. It's like there's so many times where I go in my comments and somebody's like, yo, I love this. And I'm like, would you like be totally opposed to just sharing it too? Like, it would really help me if you did. And then they're like, no. And then they share it. And then you get one person to share it. That's another 1,000 people to see something that you just put
Absolutely.
out.
I love what you said. And I think the deeper root of that is people are being afraid of, people are afraid of rejection,
Mm, mm,
right? They're afraid of that no. Why? What does that mean? You don't think I'm good enough to share? Well, maybe not. Maybe they don't. And that's
right,
okay. It's just on to the next one. It's
right.
almost like music marketing. I mean, there's always something to learn in sales, right? It's a numbers game.
Yeah,
One out of 25 people might respond yes, and all you need is that one yes. Those no's do not matter. You don't
yeah.
take them personally, and you don't take your wins personally either. It's like being afraid of rejection is something that holds a lot of creatives back.
Yeah, I think the no's actually matter just as much, though, I would say, because the no's tell you that's not your audience.
Yeah, facts.
So it's just like, cool. Like, all right, so these type of people are just not fucking with my shit, and I'll just go to these type of people.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
there's like really an audience for everything. Oh, okay, so that was like great. I think that was like a good, like, bite-sized masterclass on how to build a brand from scratch. So
Yeah.
now that we know that, this is a general question and a specific question for you, but also like generally speaking.
Okay.
How do you make money doing what you love?
How do I make money doing what I love?
Yes.
What I did is I learned what I was giving people, and then I made it digital and I made it automated. And for example, before I made Creators Club in this kind of in between time of the end of my, I shouldn't say the end of my music career because I still make music, but when I was like, you know, falling off a little bit, people were coming to me all the time. I've always been this educator, so to speak. So I've always been helping artists with their brand. I've always been helping artists with the marketing shit. I've always been helping artists with the development side of it. And so when I thought about it, I was like, how do I do this one time and sell it 1 million and never have to work on it again? And ultimately that was building an e-course, and that thought trickled me into Creators Club, and you know, from there it's grown. So I would say learn what you do, then learn how to make it digital, then learn how to automate it, and then you sell.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's how you know you understand it, because you simplified it to like 3 steps. But I think the thing that stuck out in the midst of you saying that was really in relation to how you went to create a course first, but then it took you into Creators Club. I think that's like a masterful point on when you have an idea, you're not supposed to know how everything is going to like work.
That
You just have to start it with as much information as you can and continue to learn, because the idea is never finished when you start. Most people are thinking about the finished idea when they start, and then they don't start it because of that.
you are so right, and that is so powerful what you just said. I mean, look, kind of gave me chills high key, because You are right. And there's no way to explain that to someone, but man, just put your foot in the door and watch how that world opens up.
Yeah.
Like you said, I started off with an e-course thinking of one stream of revenue. Creators Club allows me to have 5. That's
Right,
something I didn't
right,
plan for, right? But that is something
right.
that happened as I just fucking went for it.
Well, thank you, but I come from a similar ideology of like I started in COVID with an ebook. From there, it was like I created a whole like coaching program basically
Exactly.
off of that. It's wild how things can unfold, and I think it's really important that as creatives who may think realistically, you should also think like, what if this ends up being way better than I even thought the idea was going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that fear of the unknown, right? What if I don't make it, but what if you do?
Yeah, right.
We have a question in here that says, can you describe the 5? I'm assuming that means streams of income. I would love to
Yeah.
answer that really quick just so people know
Yeah.
how it works. So with Creators Club, we are going to go subscription based in January. So that is one stream of revenue, the subscriptions. Another stream of revenue is the e-courses. So that is going to go directly to me, whatever e-courses I make. But what I do now, what I've done is I partner with other people to build their e-courses, and then I break off like 20-30% for myself or for the club, right? So that's 3. Number 4 is once you've built a club of so many people of a niche community, now you have people who sell products for that community wanting to market in your community. So absolutely, if I believe in the product, I believe in what it can do for my musicians. Yeah, you can market to my community directly. It's going to cost you though. Or I also do affiliate marketing where I get a percentage of sales for everything that they sell, right? 10%, 15% is the highest affiliate commission that I get right now. And then things like that just continue to spiral. Outside of that, just TikTok, being a micro influencer on TikTok has gotten me like 15K this year, which is not a lot, but I mean, it's not nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Making fucking 30-second videos talking about shit
Yeah.
that I know about. So that's 6 actually.
So
But
brand sponsorships then.
yeah, brand sponsorship.
And when you say micro influencer, what does that look like on TikTok?
So a micro influencer is somebody who really is like very niche. I have 20,000 followers, and I would say anywhere from, I was getting brand deals at 10,000 followers. So like 10,000 to 100,000, you're a micro influencer. Once you get over that 250,000, you kind of become a macro influencer. And then once you hit that 1 million, you are a mega influencer.
And so for you as a micro, because I've done it myself, just not as much, because my audience isn't as big for me particularly. But did you did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you or was it both?
All reached out to me.
Okay, great.
Yep, I have not reached out to anybody. And my biggest brand deals have been from, ironically enough, Rallies slash Checkers, you know, that fast food chain,
Yeah.
one of them. And then
Yeah.
Spotify for artists and TikTok. It was like a duo brand deal. I just completed that in October, and that was a nice check. So yeah, I've been
And
lucky enough to where they all hit me.
that's awesome. I mean, that shows that like to some degree what you're putting out is not only helpful but it's affecting people, right? And that's not the only metric to use for that. But also I wanted to ask you, because you spoke about brand deals a little bit earlier, what did getting smarter at negotiating your brand deals look like for you?
Yeah, so I think when brand deals first start coming in, you just get excited that someone's fucking paying you to make a TikTok, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
$50, shit, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And I do think that it is good to take on those little guys, especially as you're growing, because it helps you understand. But what I've learned is, number one, my time is the most valuable thing. And number two, it really has to be something I believe in, because my brand is all about being a real bitch and providing resources for my community. And if your product ends up being a dud, then you tarnish my name, and I'm just not going to have it. I'm not going to be a sellout for money. It's not going to work like that. So how I've gotten smarter really is by doing my research, not just saying yes to everybody, because ultimately I might get a check up front, but Was $250 worth 10,000 people losing their trust in me? No, never. It's never that, right? And then really as your time goes on, I've been lucky enough to meet my music lawyer on TikTok. Music's favorite lawyer, I think, is his TikTok name, but an amazing guy. We connected and he really has helped me with the whole protection thing. And if you are selling your face, you are selling your brand, you are an asset and you have to treat yourself like that. With that being said, your prices go up. And I'm flexible with brands. Like if it's a startup or something that I really believe in, I'm not going to tax them or, it's negotiating. So that's another key thing. Not being afraid to negotiate. Start high. Let them go low.
Yeah.
If they're too low, tell them they're too low.
Ask for the max. That's been my favorite tip from people is like, just ask for the max, because if they don't have it, they'll just tell you, and then you can decide whether or not you want to do it for the price that they're able to do it for.
And I will say too, like, I'm not above bartering either. I'm in this stage where I'm trying to build my socials and get verified. And one quick way to get verified is to have a lot of music, or not music blogs, but blogs in general, right? Having a nice digital footprint. So I've had some deals where I exchange those. Like if you can get me some nice write-ups and some trustworthy things that will ultimately help my verification process, that's money in itself as well. So kind of bartering services is something that I think people should think about as well.
I mean, you killed it. Everything you said is good. Just tell people how they can connect with you, not on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for all the questions and the comments and the love. Thank you for having me, of course. Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok at Abby_Sarabia, Sarabia. I like to tell people it's like Saudi Arabia, just without the S, in front of the Arabia. That's exactly how you spell it. But also too, not to sound pretentious, but if you just Google me, Abby Sarabia, rather than like trying to find, I will pop up. My information will pop up as well.
Locked into the algorithm. Okay, biggest takeaway from 2022, and then we'll wrap.
I love it. My biggest takeaway from 2022 is to trust and believe in the process. Like you said, you, as all creative entrepreneurs, musicians, whatever you are, you're probably doing this with a blindfold on. And that's okay. There's a lot better things that can happen from putting your best foot forward and saying, fuck it. Like I'm gonna learn everything that I can. I might not know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna love the process while I'm doing it, because that's the beautiful part about it.
I couldn't have said anything better myself.
Thank you.
Once again, y'all, this is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Kosh. If you want to stay in tune with this podcast, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram, or you can search on any podcasting platform, Creative Breakthrough, and subscribe. So, Abby, thank you for your time again, and I look forward to talking to you more soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. See you soon.
Okay, later. Bye.
Bye.